Hi, Ron, can you hear me?
Do you have anybody connected?
2.
I have one. But I sent you an email. Somebody's having some issues authorizing.
Oh, okay.
So you can check it real quick.
Okay, thanks.
She sent it to me for Canvas.
Okay, let's get started. Let me get my chat up. I change screen a little bit here. Okay. This will link my canvas. Okay. So since you guys don't have microphones, I'm going to try and keep an eye on the chat. Let me know that you can hear me, and you should see my Canvas dashboard. Say yes if you can hear me and see the Canvas dashboard. Okay, Megan says yes. Okay, and Ron says yes. Okay, so when you get into Canvas, as we already kind of talked in the chat, when you get into Canvas, your courses are already all set up. Whatever courses you have set up in PowerSchool are going to show in here. So those of you, I think at high school level, I'm not quite sure how Iron is doing it in the middle school, but you may have classes for different periods as well. So you may have period 1, period 2, and we can talk about kind of combining those, and we can look at those individually. But basically, you'll look at the dashboard and you'll see all of these courses. But let's talk about the dashboard on the left here. So first you have your dashboard. This is this. Then you have courses. So that's an expanded view of your courses. So if I click on courses and then all courses, it will show me all my courses. And these are like little bookmarks. So whatever ones that I have starred right here are the ones that are going to show up right here. So you can go through and unstar those ones that you're not using. Oh, can you, Megan, can you see it now? It says I'm viewing your screen, but you're not seeing Canvas? Ron, are you seeing it? Let me restart it. Can you see it now, Megan? It's got to be something on your end because Ron can see it. Why don't you try going out of the room and back in. So there's a series of circles. I probably should have covered some WebEx first if you're not familiar with WebEx. So at the bottom of the screen, if you hover, you'll see some circles appear and there's a red X. Click on that X, that'll exit you out of the room, and then go back to that link that we sent and come back in the room and see if that sets it. Because I know it's working on this end. Can you see it now? Okay, Ron, let's give her a minute. Sorry about that. Yeah, she saw it for a minute. Ron, do you have speakers or a microphone on yours? Okay. Or a microphone where you could talk, but that's okay. We're recording this so you can go back and watch it. So I think what else, since you've got students and Megan's trying to get back on, looks like Megan is back. Hey, Megan, can you see the screen now? You see my Canvas dashboard? Great, that worked. Okay, so this is being recorded, so you can go back and look at it. We're just going to do a basic overview and then give you a chance to ask some questions. I'm willing to go as long as you need. I understand you may have students, may need to tend to other things. That's totally okay. Just understand that we're here to help you with this. I know this is a really frustrating and trying time for you guys, but this is what we do, is to help teachers get on board, and I'm willing to do whatever we need to come out to your school, but you can always contact Clint or I. So, you know, you've got some help here. And I know in Iron, Jeanette and Corey Henwood are really great about supporting you. Okay, so we were talking about the navigation. And so if I've got just some of these starred with those bookmarks, remember, by going to courses and then all courses. And then I can decide which ones I want to see, because you may not be teaching. Well, apparently if things change, you may be teaching all your courses, but this will help filter it out. Okay, groups is where we can set up groups, but we're going to kind of skip that from now. This is a calendar where you could set up your events. So here's just a regular calendar. And so if I click on it, it lets me, I can make an event. So it's kind of like a Google Calendar, and you can also sync this to your Google Calendar so you can share assignments. But you can create assignments right from the calendar. You can title it. It just creates a blank assignment. You can create to-dos from right there. So this would populate your calendar. Okay? There's an inbox, and this is what I would suggest, that if we, you know, and we're preparing to be able to teach everything online, I would get your students to use the Canvas inbox, either one or the other, your email or your inbox, because that way you won't have them be going back and forth between classes. And with this way, you can send inbox or send emails to each class. So if you've got 5 or 6 classes. Oh, good question, Megan. So Megan asked, what kind of calendar entries do the students see? So they're just going to see ones that you've assigned in their course. They'll see that that's assignments. They'll see the assignments are due. They won't see your to-dos. They'll just see things that are from them. Canvas does a really good job of showing things that only students should see, and then you get a view of only what you see. So I'm going to make a note to make sure I show you student view when we get to that part. Make a note. I don't forget that. So that's a good question. The kids can link their Google Calendar to this calendar, and then that way in their Google Calendar, they'll see their assignments that are due. And also when they're on their dashboard, I'll go back to the dashboard real quick. On their dashboard, if you see over here on the right-hand side, oh, I probably don't have any, oh yeah, I do. See where it says, for me, because I'm an instructor, it says grade homework due, grade these things. For the students, they're going to see that this assignment is due at that time. So that's kind of like a little to-do list for the kids over here on the right-hand side. And as they do those things, they get kind of turned off. Okay, so we'll go back to the inbox. Good question, Megan. So in the inbox here, I can create a new email, and it allows me to select a course. So I could select any of these courses. So those of you middle and high school, you may be teaching multiple courses. You can just say, I want to send this message to this kid. So that's an inbox that's just like an email, okay? Then Commons, this is one thing I really want you to look at and spend some time, because I know one thing you're probably really concerned about is the content. Where am I going to get this content? How am I going to take all the stuff that I've been doing on paper and put it into Canvas? That's the biggest question that we get. Luckily, there is a ton of information and content in what's called the Commons. Think about when you go to Google and you search for slideshows or PowerPoints. It's kind of like this. These are assignments, modules, courses, and we'll cover the difference of those in just a minute. But this is all content that has been created by teachers, and we've got some that have been created by UEN. So we still just have Ron. Okay, since you're middle and high school, I'm not going to show you the elementary stuff. But if you use this filter right here, you can go here to this BYU Independent Study Blended Resources. And these are all BYU courses that are created. And I didn't filter, I could have filtered by grade, or I could search, but the thing with the way they name these, it's a little bit different. So there's 161 results, but if I wanted to look for history, tell me what content areas you guys teach, and that'll help me out. Okay, so math and art. Yeah, art, that one, Megan, that one's a little more difficult, but there are ways that kids can take a picture and submit some of their art. So there are some things. Art and math teachers, they are the ones that kind of have the hardest time because everything's so hands-on and paper. But there are some things in here. So let's go look at art then. There's a lot of math in here too. So there's 38 results. And you said you were 7th grade, right, Megan, I think? Okay, yeah, for sure. So we'll look at this course. We can click on it and it'll give us some details. So there's 11 modules. Do you guys know what modules and assignments are? Have you had a basic training? Okay, I'll go over those, but they're the different components. So a module is like a filing cabinet. So think of a drawer that you have everything in. A module holds it. So you may have a module for introduction to art, a module for drawing, okay? And so those are different parts of a course. A course is the big file cabinet, and then you have modules that could be like the drawers. And then within that, you have assignments. Those are graded. Pages are like web pages that are just content, and then quizzes, and then files are things that you upload. And I'll go over more of those a little bit later. But if you're looking at this course right here, there's an instructor user guide, a course introduction, and we'll look at the syllabus. So you can look at the syllabus. So it's got the learning outcomes. These are all designed by BYU, and they're all aligned to the core. So you can look at this. Then you can come back and look through maybe some of the assignments. So here's a first portfolio overall grade. So this is what an assignment looks like in Canvas. So the students would have to do this assignment and then they would have to submit it. So here's a rubric, and I'll show you how in SpeedGrader that makes it really easy to grade your things with. The kids just submit it, kind of like adding an attachment. Okay. So if you go through these and you like it and you say, yeah, I think that's going to work for me. What was that nope to, Megan? Oh, never mind. That was on the Canvas. Okay, so if I want to say, oh yeah, I want to use this course, then I'm going to import. It's going to ask me what course I want to put it into. So yours would say art. So I'm going to put this in the online learning course. And then I'm going to say import into course. And that just takes a few minutes and it'll tell me I've started the import. So I could go back and search. And I could add some of these others. I could add more. I could add multiple of these courses into one course, okay? Because you may not have separate courses set up for each one. A course is like a shell. You won't have separate ones. Each district kind of sets that up their own way. You may want to have Art 45 and Art 43 all in one course for the students. Does that make sense? Yes, you're not borrowing these. UEN has paid for BYU to build these courses for us, and they're provided for you through UEN. So what's the nice thing is you can, once you take this course and you take it and put it in your Canvas, you can change whatever you want. You don't have to teach it exactly by that. You can edit it, change it, throw stuff out, add stuff to it. Does that make sense? Great. Okay, so we could go back and we could search for more things in there. You could go search for math in there for Ron. There's all sorts of different things that you can find. So I would encourage you to kind of start from here, because that is the most overwhelming thing, is how to create the course and what content do I put in and how do I build it. This is already built, and then once you look at the way that it's built and it's all laid out, that'll give you a better idea for when you're ready to go start from scratch. For right now, in this situation, I would highly suggest you find some of these courses, look at how they're set up and use them. Okay, so we're going to go back to our dashboard. And I'm going to pick this online learning course. That's the one that I built just for this one. And so all that art is in there already. Okay, so these are what are called modules. You see how it's got this one box? This is Welcome to Art 31 is one module. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about those in a minute. I want to give you a better overview. So can we get a hard copy from you on how to do these steps? Yes, I'm going to show you some resources on how to do this. And well, let me just go back to this right here and I'll show you. See this help button right here? This help button is your friend. Okay, so all of these things, we've got conference guides for remote classrooms. There's going to be links in there. What you want to do, you also have chat with Canvas support. So if you're trying to do something 24/7, you can chat and Canvas will get right on and help you with any questions you have, whether it's course design, technical issues, they're always there for you. Or you can call them. But the Canvas guides are really good. So if I click on the Canvas guides, it's going to open it in a new window. And so can you see this, Canvas guides? Okay, so if you're looking for, and I would say, oh, how do I import from the Commons? Import from Commons. Okay. How do I import a favorite assignment from Canvas to Canvas as an instructor? How do I import content from all of these, or those questions? So you click on one of them. Okay. And how do I import an assignment? And it takes you right through there how to do it. Okay. So all of these little tutorials are built by Canvas, and you can look at those at any time. And again, plus you can go to, you can use the chat or the hotline. Okay, does that make sense? Does that answer your question, Megan? Okay. And then if you ever have a problem, you can just report a problem if something's not working, and those usually go to me. Okay, so there's your chat. There's some links right there. So I'm going to close this. And now we're at our course at our home page. So now we have our course, and let's talk about this other navigation. I'll go through this fairly quickly. But here you have, here's your home page. You can set this to be a page, any page that you want, and we'll take a look at that too. I'm just making some notes so I don't forget. I'm trying to stay in sequence so I don't overwhelm you, because normally this is a 2-day class that we're doing in an hour. So there's a lot to cover, but I want to give you the basics just to get started. Basically, Canvas can do just about anything you ask, but I'm trying to keep it simple. Okay, so here, this is grades. So this has a grade book in it. And right now, because we don't have any students in here, it doesn't show, but all the students would be listed here. And then all the grades would be listed. Okay, and you can also set it up so it syncs the grades to PowerSchool. Okay, so that's our grades. And we go back. So then we have people. These are all the people in your class. So that's where you're going to want to look, and you would see all the students in your class. Okay. Announcements. This is something you're going to want to use. So if you want to do an announcement and create an announcement, you come up here. Always look for the big blue buttons. Those are what tell you to do something. So an announcements are something that kids are just going to get sent to them, kind of like an email. So an email is more of a two-way conversation. An announcement is something that you want the whole class to be able to hear. So if I just click on announcement, then I have a title right here. So I'm going to put I always call the things I make up delete, so I know that I don't have to keep them. So here, this is the rich text editor where we have all of our tools. And then you can say, field trip tomorrow. Or you can make any kind of announcements that you want. And these are, it's not something that's graded, it's just an announcement, kind of like putting that note up on the board. Okay. You can schedule when you want it to delay posting. You can allow the users to comment. Okay. Everywhere we go in here, whether it's an assignment, and if I'm going too fast, just kind of say something in the chat and I'll be happy to go over something, okay? Everything has this rich text editor, and you're probably used to seeing something like this, you know, in Word, but there's different things that you can do right here. You can insert a table, okay? Or you can insert media, okay? So you could upload or you could embed a video on it. Okay, you can do a link to a URL. So if you highlight a word and then you click on this, then you paste in that link. So when you're talking about linking to things, you could put them in there. You could embed an image. So you have the choice. I can either have the URL or maybe it's something I've got in Canvas, but you'll probably be looking to find something in Flickr so you can find images in there. Okay, the next one, this is for you, Ron. This is the math editor. So you've got all of these equations. Okay, I'm a librarian, not a math teacher, so don't ask me too much about this one. But that's where you can insert equations. This, and I'm showing you this now because it works in quizzes, assignments, pages. You'll see this editor everywhere. Okay, this one is Khan Academy. So say that you wanted to create something, add something from Khan Academy. You wanted to do a math. So we'll say, let's see, we'll do basic geometry. And I'm just doing something at random. Okay, so say I want to put this video, and so maybe you're doing an assignment and you want to say, watch this video, and then your next thing would give them an assignment on that. So you just say embed, and it puts the video right in there. Okay. The next one is CK12, basically the same thing. If you use CK12, you can embed content. And here's another one, more external tools. And this will vary a little bit. Irons is a little bit different. If I would have known I only would have 2 iron teachers, then I would have gone into Irons Canvas because every district has its own Canvas. And so we can put different things in there. So these are public resources, Spelling City. These are called LTIs. And basically, if you use external programs like Saxon Math or things, this is where you could go and embed things right in there. Okay. So that's where you can YouTube or a Google Drive. You can bring a document right from your Google Drive up into it. Okay, this next thing is you can record or upload. I think this is going to be a key thing for teachers to use, especially if we do, you know, in the event of the school closure, because the toughest thing with this online learning is keeping that communication with the students, and this allows you to do it. So if I hit this record and upload, I'm going to allow to use my camera. So now it's recording me. So I can just hit start recording. And then I can say, okay, boys and girls, today we're going to learn about math or art or whatever our topic is. And here you can talk to the students and, you know, keep that connection. You say finish. It's going to, then you can title it. Okay. And then you hit save. And then that's embedded. It looks like this when you're editing, but once we save it, it'll show as a video, and I'll show you that. And so the students can also respond in video. So you could have them, Megan, you can say, show your artwork up there and just show a picture. Iron, I think it's, you know, you've got like 500 megs of storage. So there's really no restrictions on the media files because you're embedding them. So you're not actually uploading that media. So if you go to YouTube, you're going to put a link in. And so you're not really storing the files in Canvas. You're just putting the link. Okay, good question. Hey, you guys are thinking, awesome. Okay, so this was just an announcement. Oh, and then we have paragraphs, fonts, all the, you know, the regular things that you would see. This right here is to check accessibility. This is really important that we make sure that images have alt tags. Those are descriptions. And that's because if you have students that use screen readers, you want this to be accessible. If you do have some students with some vision problems, there's some other tools that we can use. But you just check the accessibility, and there's an accessibility checker comes up. It says no issues were detected. And if it did, if there wasn't an issue, it would tell you how to fix it right there. Okay, so far so good. How about the videos you record? How would you record those? Are you talking about the videos here like I just did, or like a YouTube video? How would you record the video? So if you're going to make a video, are you going to use YouTube? If you make yeah, so if you use YouTube, you would get the embed code and you would embed that in there. So when you embed a code or put a link, that video is still hosted on YouTube, Vimeo, whatever you've created that. You generally don't want people to create a video, then download it and upload it, because that's where the storage gets kind of wonky. By embedding it, it's still stored in the cloud and on the server. Okay. If you have some different questions or something you're trying to do, let me know and we can follow up with that. But really, embedding is the way to do it, because you can embed YouTube videos right in here too. I think this one doesn't have it set up. Let's see, it's public. Oh, okay, here's YouTube. See right here, you could search through YouTube. Okay, and so type in your search. So if I said math, you could also put a link, so you can embed a YouTube right there. But if you created one, then you would put the link to your YouTube video in there, and you would just make a link. Remember, we showed up here with this link. So you could say, let me delete that. Oh, okay. So you could make a link just by typing in the word. Remember, I showed you how to link to the URL. You could put the link right in there to your video. Does that make sense? Does that work? Okay. So then you would assign it, and then you would just hit save. And so this would be an announcement that would show up on their homepage. Okay. So now we'll look at assignments, if you guys are good to keep going. So assignments. Now the difference, these are showing the assignments because we've imported those courses. And so these are assignments that are already made. So we'll look at one that'll show you how to make one. So this is the first portfolio overall grade. And when we click on it, I gotta move these. Wait for that to load. There we go. So this is the assignment, and so this is kind of how the kids would see it. But if we go to edit it, I'm showing you one that's already made because it has content. Yours would be from scratch. Again, we have that same editor. So they've put it in image, they've typed in. Okay, so then this says to talk about building on a portfolio. Your portfolio should include the following. Unit 1, choose one. So this is what a created assignment looks like. Okay, then how many points it's worth. And then the assignment groups, those are groups, and that kind of has to do with syncing, which will be a little bit different topic, but you would put it in assignment group. And then you can display grades as a point or a letter scale. And then the submission type, this is you would ask how students submit their stuff. You can say, okay, I want them to do an online, and this one is a file upload. So they're going to upload a file. Could be a picture, could be a Word document, a Google document, could be anything. Maybe you want them to upload a recording, and that would work the same way as what I showed you when I recorded myself. The student would just record. Maybe you want them to build a link or just have a text box to answer. So you could just say text box and a file upload. So those are the online types. So when you do, you could have no submission. So maybe Megan, if you're doing, the kids created some art, and if you were in a classroom and that you made this assignment, and then you would walk around and check off their work, they didn't have to submit anything, but you would go through and say, and grade it in SpeedGrader, and we'll show you SpeedGrader. Does that make sense? Okay. Or something on paper, same thing. I know math teachers, that's big because you want to see their work, right? You can have them draw something out on a Google Doc, but if you want to see their work, maybe that's got something on paper, and you do the same thing. You walk around your classroom with paper and look at their paper and then check it off. Okay. Group assignments, we'll hold off on that for right now because you could put kids in groups to create things. Peer reviews is something that kids have to review other people's work. Those are things, if you're interested, you can look into, but I don't feel like they're part of the basics. So this is assigned to everyone. Now, say if, and I know in 10th grade, you may have this, Ron, that you teach the same class 5 times a day, right? 5 periods. So you're going to have 5 groups. It's going to show 5 different groups, period 1, period 2, period 3. You could just say assign it to everyone, or maybe one is a math honors group, or, you don't have to assign the same assignment to everybody. You can single it out, okay? And then you have to have a due date on it. So this tells the students, remember that to-do box that we saw up on the right-hand side, that tells the students when their assignments are due. And it also can dock them if they're late. So you can say when it's due, you have to you just click on put a date on, say it's due here. And then you can also make it available for certain periods. Not a lot of teachers use this, but if you want to kind of lock it so they can't see it, then you can do that, okay? So that's how you kind of create an assignment. That's what a created assignment looks at. I'm just going to hit cancel because I don't want to save those changes. I'll go back here to home. Remember how we talked about modules? Modules are those boxes. This first module is just for this part's for the teachers. See, it says do not publish. This green right here means it's published. This is not, so kids can't see that. This is the course introduction, instructor's guide, course introduction, syllabus, and then contact information. This is a page, and this is a page that you would want to edit right here. Same kind of thing. You would click here on the edit button, and you're able to edit this button. I would put your own picture in here, and so this is just a contact information, especially if we're going to be closed. How are the kids able to contact you? You could say, use the inbox in Canvas, here's my phone number, or we'll meet on Google Hangouts, or whatever contacts. That's an information. A page is something that's not graded. Okay, go back to the home again. So this is a module, this box right here with these 4 items. See how it's got this space? Okay, and I'll show you what the beauty about modules in just a second. If we go here to the Unit 1 introduction, this is where the kids will start. And when you use modules, it puts this edit button. Was that back on the, go back. Yeah, so that has, did you see the edit button? I'll go back up here to this first one. Unit 1 introduction, and see up in the upper right hand button top, you can edit it and just edit to your heart's content. Okay, good. So this is the introduction. So you're going to talk about, this is what we're learning, give them some information. This is a page, okay? So remember, there's pages, which are information. We've talked about announcements, and then we've talked about assignments. Assignments are graded and have a due date. Get this out of the way. There we go. Okay. So here, can you see the button on the bottom down here? It says next. That's the beauty about these modules, because it gives the order for the students to do. So in theory, you could have students move at their own pace and they can complete the assignments as they go. Or you can say everybody kind of has to work together by setting up due dates. So if I click the next button, then it just takes me to the next thing. Here's learning activities. Here's the outcomes. I click on the next button, and here's a definition of art. Okay. And if I click on the next button again, it just kind of walks me through the steps in order that I have to do. So this is a self-check, and this is a quiz. You can build quizzes in here that automatically grade. Okay, so this is a quiz, and you can edit it and change it to, on the kids here, it would say take quiz, and they would take the quiz. And this is worth 5 points. This one, the way that BYU sets them up, these are just kind of like self-checks. They don't count towards the grade, they get graded on it. And quizzes is a whole nother elephant that we might save for a later time, but just know that with quizzes, you can have multiple types of answers. There's multiple choice, fill in the blank, drag and drop, all sorts of different types of quizzes that you can add. Once you start looking at this and using it, you'll see the different types. but I don't want to overwhelm you with that now. Okay. So if I go back to the home, and then you'll see here, we went right through down this list. This was a page. This was a link because it was that definition. See the little symbols? This little rocket's a self-check. Then we go into the purpose of art, and it just kind of flows from one to the other. So kids can go through that on their own pace. There's also some features where oops, I hit the wrong button. There we go. You can lock the modules so they can't see them, that you can also do prerequisites that they have to complete this one. And to go even deeper, they have to say they take this quiz. They have to get 80% on this quiz before they can go on. And you may have like a quiz at the end of this module and say they have to get X amount before they can go here. So that way, if you've got those kids that are mastering things, they can go ahead and move on through the course. And then there's another thing called Mastery Pass. That's a whole different thing that if they score, say, and you set the limits, if they score 60% on a test, then it automatically assigns them some remediation assignment you've created. If they score 80%, then they continue to move on. And that's kind of the way that these are set up. That makes sense? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to just kind of move on. So we talked about, so assignments, same thing. You have that editor, you can do things in them. And see these little eyeballs right here? I'll show you that in a minute, but that means students can't see that. The beauty is if you just work from modules, then the kids don't see all of this and it's not overwhelming. And I'll show you how to set the navigation when we get to that point. Okay, so you can have discussions too. Discussions, I think, are really going to be integral, especially, if we're not going to be in school. So you can create a discussion. So I'm going to just hit the plus, and then you can say, what is an exponent? Okay, and so then you can have, list the factors or whatever it is. You guys are the teachers. I'll let you decide that part. But you can have the discussion, and you can have them be graded, but most people use them. Think of like a bell ringer. That's the first thing kids get in, so they get into Canvas and they answer the discussion. You can put images in here. Again, there's that rich text editor. You can add things, okay? You can put images up there. You can allow them to like it. And this one is really popular with teachers. Users must post before seeing replies, because you know how kids will read everybody else's replies and then kind of take from that and do their own. This way, until they make a reply, they can't see the other replies. Okay. And then you can just say it's available from here to here. Okay. So that's just a discussion. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and leave this one. And then we have pages. So these are all the pages. Think of pages just like a website. It's just for information. Okay. So then you can choose any of these to make them be your home page. So if I say collect this contact information, if that's what you want kids to see when they click on that home, then you use as front page right here. Okay. And then that will make this page the front page. Okay. Or you can come back here and I thought it was right here. Okay. Yeah, you can set the page that way. Files, these are all the things that you can upload. Now, if you have a lot of stuff on your computer and that you want to get uploaded so that it's accessible, then you would just come up here to upload. And then you would navigate to your computer and you would upload all that stuff and you can put it in folders. So where that comes in handy is when I'm in assignments or any other type of editor. Chat, there we go. When I'm in any type of editor, so say we're right here in this assignment, and I want to edit the assignment, and I want to add stuff. This is what's nice. See this over here on the right-hand side? You could link an assignment right here. So say, oh, I want to say, read this and then take this assignment, and it would click them to that assignment. I like using modules better than putting the link to the assignment in the page. Does that make sense? Okay. But also you have your files right here. So once you've uploaded those files, So here, this color wheel right here, look, I just clicked on it and it put it right in there, okay? And I could look into all the course files that I have, and I could put things in. That, oops, turns into a picture once you've done it, okay? And then also images. If I've uploaded image or I want to upload a new image, I can just upload an image. I can choose a file. I don't have any handy. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I can, and then just say, choose the file. And that alternative text, remember I talked about screen readers? Because if somebody's using a screen reader, they need to know what that picture is. So I could just put decorative, or I could put it's a tree. If you put decorative, it means it really doesn't have any meaning. Okay, or you could say it's a tree or it's a math problem, or you can click the decorative image and then you say upload. And then see, it put it right there where my mouse was. Okay. So that's how you can really easily add content in once you've gotten that added to your files. It's really easy to link things. So this is really key. Okay, let's move on. So we talk about files. Okay, outcomes. So outcomes are the state outcomes. You guys probably know more about this than me. I'm more the technical. And let's see, go to find and we go to Common Core standards. So we have met the math. So you can use these outcomes and then you can tie them and build rubrics. And the rubric would go at the end of or inside every grade or in the grade book. And then that way you can build your rubrics from that. So you would import that into the assignment and create a rubric. Okay, then the syllabus, you guys know what a syllabus is. That's what it does is puts all the assignments in there, and then you can edit this content right here. So modules, let's go back to modules. Remember when I was talking about those, these are the modules, okay? So think of those in boxes, and remember those had those next buttons. So say if you want to create a new module, you create a new module and you say module name, and this is, oops, gotta name it delete. Okay, and so I could lock it so that it wasn't available until March or whatever week. Remember I talked about those prerequisites? You could say prerequisites, okay, they have to finish one of these. They have to finish this one first before they can go to that one. Okay. So now, and it adds it down at the bottom. So now I've got this one, but it's empty. So now what am I going to do? There's another thing here. See that green button? Okay, that means it's not published, so it's not visible to students. Okay, so, but because maybe I don't want it to be published, I don't want them to see it till I finish. So if I click this plus, it says it lets me add things to that module. I can add an assignment, a quiz, a file, a page, a discussion, a text header, or I could just put a link out to something. So say you had that video link. So if I wanted to add an assignment, I could say, oh, I want to add a new assignment. And I would say this assignment could be Art 1, okay? Teachers like to do this two ways. I've seen them build the assignments and then put them all in, and a good example is a language arts teacher that they're doing units on different books. So they have Romeo and Juliet, they're going to have an introduction, a quiz, a page, you're going to have kind of the same format in each one. So they may go build those empty spaces because now I can just come here and click, and this is because I've chosen this in an assignment. Now I've got this assignment that I have to go edit. Does that make sense? Am I overwhelming you? Okay, so that's how you could quickly add an assignment to, oh, good, glad to hear it, Ron, thanks. Okay, so that's how you'd quickly add an assignment to a module. I'm a firm believer in modules because what happens if you have the kids go to assignments from assignments and you're having to constantly say, okay, go to this assignment, go to that assignment. So then you have to say, okay, go to unit 3 quiz or go to assignments and go here. And can you see how that's different when they're looking here? You're constantly having to tell them. But if you do things in modules, see how this is, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. Here's a group of quizzes, a group of assignments, a group of exams, and that's overwhelming to kids. If I look at modules, then they're chunked. So now I know that, oh, okay, here's the page, here's the lesson, here's a link, here's a self-check. See how that flows? Okay. So that's why you want to use modules. Okay. Can you set 2 progress on a module? Can you score a certain percent or it hits a certain date? No, there's only one. Okay. You want to use Mastery Pass for a certain percentage. Okay. The other ones, they just have to complete all the items in that module. Good question. Conferences is something that we really haven't used much before because most of the teachers use Canvas in class. So it's not something that's been used, but a conference is exactly what we're doing here on WebEx. So I think this might be a really good thing to use to be able to get your whole class together. So you say, hey, class, we're going to meet as a class at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. So I was practicing with this. I'll end this one so I can start a new one. So here we go to conference and you say, create a conference, okay? And it can be 60 minutes. And then you invite all course members. So everybody who's in that course is going to get an invite. Okay. And then you say update. And now it's created this conference. And then when it's ready to start, because you've put it on the calendar, you've sent an announcement out to kids, hey, we're going to be in a conference. Then when you start it, it kind of goes through this and it's got some little tutorials. Okay, and I'll want you to join. I'm not going to join it because it messes up my sound with the other one, but you can see there's tutorials right here and it puts all your kids and you into the same kind of room. Okay, so you could use that to be able to meet with your kids virtually. WebEx is another option, but you have to have a WebEx account. And right now they're limiting those. So I think this or Google Hangouts, and we've got a link for that. We have, okay. So I'm going to end this because I can hear that's making noise in my, okay, collaboration. I know how to open a text box for students to answer, but I've seen that other teachers prepare pages with questions that the students can complete and then submit. That's a quiz, it sounds like. Prepare. Okay, so let's see. Let me go back to an assignment. Okay, so I'm going to create a new assignment. And there's a couple ways you could do this. Okay, somebody needs to mute their. I'm hearing the bell in the background. Somebody could mute their microphone, that'd be helpful. Okay, so here's an assignment. So I could say, I could put this just in here. Question 1, question 2, and go on, right? And then what you would want to do is this would be a text entry. Okay, so let's see if I'm gonna save that. Okay, and so now it looks like this. Here's the questions, and the students would have a submit button right here, and they would hit submit, and then they would just type in their problems or their answers. Is that what you mean, Monica? Oh, hi, Monica. Welcome. Didn't notice you had joined us. We have Rebecca too. Good. So you guys feel free to jump in and speak up if you have a question or use the chat box. I'm trying to keep an eye on it, but feel free to jump in and ask me questions. For those that just joined, this is being recorded, so you can go back. And like I told the others, this is like a 2-day lesson I'm trying to give you in an hour just to give you an overview of all the awesome things that Canvas can do to help you with. Okay, so let's go. We talked about collaborations. So attendance, you have to do this in PowerSchool, so I'm not even going to talk about it here. So Google Drive, you can authenticate with your Google Drive and students can submit Google Drive documents. Newslia is one of those third-party things that we're using, and I'm not sure that your district has it, but those we talked about, those LTIs, things that they can add. And Cisco WebEx, if you have an account, you can use that. But let's talk about this navigation right here, because we talked about just wanting the kids to see modules. And with these little eyeballs right here, it means the kids cannot see these things. So if I go here to settings, and this is one place you kind of want to get familiar with. So this first part is the course details. I can add an image right here. So I can upload an image. Let's do this one since it's handy. Because, yay, I'm going to ST. So here's an image right there. Here's the name of my course. You won't be able to change these because they're SIS created courses. You don't have to worry about the blueprint. You won't be able to change that. That will look a little bit different on yours. And yours, because I'm not in an SIS created class, the term will tell you if you're teaching a class that's got in 4 terms, it'll have a course for each term. So this, you won't have to worry about any of this on here. So you don't have to worry about any of those other things. The only thing I would worry about is putting a course dashboard, because now what happens is, oh, I didn't save it, darn it. That image, oh, it did. Okay, see how that image shows up right there? So you can see how I've got different images. That kind of helps the kids to be able to see. I'm going to go back to this course, go back to settings. And then the other thing that we want to look at is sections. So these are the sections that are going to have your students. Your students are automatically going to be added to your courses through the SIS. If you get a new student and somebody that's not added, you just need to wait for PowerSchool to sync. Every night, PowerSchool and Canvas talk to each other. Okay. And navigation. So this right here is what controls this right here. So right now, this is what the kids can see. So we don't want them to see WebEx, so I'm going to drag that down. They don't need to see attendance, so I'm going to drag that down. You want to keep grades because for you, you see class grades. For them, they see their grades. But we do want to have the modules, so we're going to move that up. And then you always want to make sure you look for a save button. So then you have that save button right there. And now it's going to change what the kids can see. Okay. There's also some other things that we've added. These are part of Utah's online library. So these are research databases that the kids can access as well. And if you do use some third-party applications like Spelling City or anything, let me know, and we may be able to add that connection to yours as well. Okay, and that's when I was talking about those apps. These are all the different kinds of apps that can be installed. So you may want to look here. Some of them are just links that send you out to a program, but some you can actually embed things into your account. Okay. And then feature options, you probably won't have to really worry too much about this. They're already set for you. So I wanted to show you Gradebook. So when you're in, I'll go to assignments. Grading is really one of the most beautiful things in here. So let's look at an assignment. And then see where it says SpeedGrader right here? SpeedGrader is a beautiful thing. Oh, but there's no active students. I should have gone into another. Let me get into another course real quick. Should have thought of that. I was using an empty course so that I could mess anything up that I wanted to and not worry about it. So here's a class that I'm teaching right now. And if I go to assignments, and I'll pick, I think I've graded this one. So here's, again, you see we have things in modules. Here's that assignment, and as soon as it loads, and then again, I can go to SpeedGrader right here. Remember we talked about the rubrics? You add a rubric in, okay, and then I'm going to go to SpeedGrader. And now we can see what SpeedGrader looks like, okay? So here's the assignment, tells the name of the assignment, and here's the submission from that student, okay? So I have all the names of the students up here, okay, and I can see I've already graded some. This one needs to be graded. This is hers. So I can view the rubric, and then I can give them marks right there to grade it. I'm not going to grade that one because I haven't really read it yet. But then if I want to go to another student, then they're right here. And if they submit a text entry, you'll also have some annotation tools that you can use, or a Google Doc, and you're able to annotate right on this page, and you can make comments and notes to the students about their assignment. Okay. Let's go back to the gradebook. So this is what the gradebook looks like. So here's my students. This is one of our technology endorsement classes, so it's only got a few students. This tells me this student is late. So what I can do here is I can click on this and I can message students who haven't submitted yet, haven't been graded, or scored less than. So if I want to say these 3 have not submitted, so I can say, hey, getting gear there, and then I can send them that message, okay? So this is Gradebook is really nice, and Gradebook can be set up so that all of these grades will sync right back to PowerSchool. And let me go back to our other course. Okay, so now you can, oops, wrong one. I've got too many tabs open. There we go. Okay, so we're back into our practice course. What you want to do too is look at, I forgot something in settings, sorry. Let's go back to settings. You always want to know what your students can see. If you go to settings and you come up here, see this student view right here? Click on that and you'll see a big pink bar will come up, and this is what students can see. So that lets you make sure that you know that you've published it, or you can check your navigation and see exactly what students can see. So see down here at the bottom, it says you're currently logged into student view, and then I can just leave student view. So that's a good way to kind of check. One of the biggest things that I get is my students don't see my course. And that's because this button right up here, see where it says publish? Even though we talked about these being published, these are published, but the course is not published. Okay, so publishing can get tricky. So let's talk about it from the top level. Once I publish this, okay, once you publish it, all the students will get a notification and it'll appear on their dashboard. Students cannot see anything until you publish it. Once you publish it, then students will be able to see this, what's been published. Now, if I didn't want students to see this whole module, I could just unpublish it right there, okay? But we want them to see these components that are in it. This is not visible, do not publish. So I'm going to unpublish. And that's as easy as it is to hide things from student view. But that's why when you use modules, then you can unpublish a module and kids can't see any of it. Does that make sense? Okay, let me look at my notes. What else? We talked about student view, the rubric, homepage, the navigation. Okay, notifications. This is a big one. Canvas loves to talk, loves to tell you everything. And unless you want your inbox to be slammed, you want to set this first thing. So go to your account, and I would encourage you to go to your settings and put your picture in there, because the kids have done that too. You just click on it and it'll let you edit your picture. Okay, and so you can edit your name and do things in here. These are things that I've integrated with. You don't have to worry about those. But notifications is big, okay? All of these are ways that Canvas wants to talk to you. So all of these are the different things. So when these things happen, Canvas will notify you. You can have Canvas send you an email. You can have send you a text. You can also say, notify me right away, send a daily summary, send a weekly summary, or don't send me anything. So you just have to go through and you can see I've got mostly don't send me anything. That's what that X is, like except for announcements. Announcements, I want to notify me right away. So if there's an announcement that comes up, so you could, and your kids can adjust this too. So you may want to tell your kids, do not turn announcements off, because if I send an announcement, I want you to get a text or an email or something. Okay, so all of these things you can just kind of go look through. If you're going into Canvas every day, I would say just turn most of them off except for announcements. Especially, there's another one down here, alerts, administrative notifications. I would kind of leave that one on so that way you'll get an email if something comes up. But if you're going into Canvas every day and you're in there often, then you're going to see notifications on your dashboard, and I'll show you that too. So if we go back here to our dashboard and we'll go back into our course. Oops, sorry, went too far, one too far. So when you're on your dashboard, this tells you, see all of my courses, this tells me right here. So all of those to-dos that I would normally get notifications for are going to show up right on here. So this says, oh, I've got to grade this, I've got to grade this. And then it says coming up, nothing coming up due. Or I could go back to that calendar view. And because most of this I use for testing, I don't really have much on here, but I can say, well, which calendars? Let's see if I've got any. You can decide which calendars. This is a lot like Google Calendars. Okay, so I'm not really having that much show up. But this is where you get the calendar feed. The students do this. You take this and then you put it into your Google Calendar. And now this adds a calendar to your Google Calendar. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard. Okay. And I know that was a lot. That was kind of like an hour of drinking out of a fire hydrant. You guys, are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling optimistic? Give me some thoughts on what I need to go back and go over. What questions do you have? Either say them out loud or type them into the text box. Looks like Rebecca. Nope, that was okay. Monica, you okay? Monica, what school are you at? What grade? Great. I'm glad, Monica. I know this is a trying time for all of you teachers. And like I said at the beginning, we here at SEDC, Clint, Joby, our whole team, we are here to help you with whatever you need. Okay, this is a good start. You'd like to try it? That's a great idea. So Monica, this is recorded. And if you go back and watch the recording in the beginning, I talked about using this help. This help is huge. 24/7, if you have a question, you can chat with Canvas support, okay? You can call them 24/7 and they will do it. Okay, dual immersion Spanish. Okay, good. Um, so there's a lot of content. Just yeah, if you just missed the first, oh, you saw the comments, good deal. Okay, good. So up at the top of this chat, if you go all the way up to the top, I linked to Google document. And so in that Google document, let me just go ahead and show that real quick. Clint has been working hard on creating this document, and it has a ton of information, but there's kind of some navigation. And here's we might try and do these every day, every other day, depending on whatever the needs are. But here's a bunch of resources. We've been getting a lot of emails from companies that are offering free resources now for teachers because of the impending school closures. And so if you come through here, you can find out all sorts of things. Things like our Pear Deck or Google Slides. There's content that's already ready for you. Here's a whole bunch of links for using Canvas, using Commons, UEN. There's some great things. Utah's online library is going to be huge, and our ebook library. Those are things that can, there's content already there for you to be able to send out to your kids. So there's the courses and the Commons that we looked at, our Pear Deck, digital citizenship. There's all sorts of different tools that you can use that will help you to be able to share some of this content. Because as I mentioned before, I know one of the hardest things for you right now is how do I get all this content and deliver it to my students? And these are tools that can help. Okay. See if there's any more questions down here. Let me get the. Okay, so do we have any more questions? I'm happy to stay and show you more if you have questions. I know it's a snowy Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock and you're probably dying to go home and see your family, but I'm here till 5, so let me know what you need. If you need to bounce out, that's fine. Okay, glad to help. Like I said, we are here for you. And I know Corey Henwood and Jeanette Stubb at your district office are really great. Oh, he's going live. Okay, got to go too. All right. Okay, thanks, Megan. Hey, Rebecca, I see you're still on. Any questions? All right. Okay. So go ahead and just hit that exit and close out. And you should, and I will put a link, keep that document handy, and I'll put a link to the recording in that document. So you can go back and feel free to share that document with anyone. Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Okay, Rebecca, you need to click that red X on the, you might have to hover over the bottom of the screen, have those little circles pop up. There you go. Good job.